Hi, I'm Gruff, a cute little bird girl with the voice of a cartoon uncle, and today I want to talk about one of the most underrated games ever, the Ninja Warriors. The Ninja Warriors started its life in 1987 as a side-scrolling beat-em-up, or something like that, developed by Taito. In it, players had to defeat a tyrannical army under the control of a horrid dictator. To achieve such goal, the player had at its command none other than the Shock Master! The Ninja Warriors. Now let me tell you, boys and girls, the original The Ninja Warriors was garbage. No joke. The gameplay was mind-numbingly boring, the art direction was uninspired, and like every arcade game from that era, it was a quarter muncher that could devour a month's salary in 7 minutes. The only 3 things that made this game memorable were that your character would lose pieces of clothing as they took damage, revealing their cybernetic innards, an obvious nod to the Terminator, the soundtrack made by Zuntata, Taito's in-house band, whose music I cannot play here, otherwise this video will be copyright striked into oblivion, and that the arcade cabinet had a long screen. A novelty completely lost when you emulate the game today. The game was mediocre, but somehow it made enough of a splash to generate a sequel/soft reboot on the Super NES. The Ninja Warriors again! That was the name of the game in Japan. In the US, it was called simply The Ninja Warriors. The game was published by Taito for Nintendo's 16-bit console in 1993, but it was developed by Natsume. Boys and girls, if you don't know Natsume, you should. It's a game developer that never, ever made a single bad game. Choujin Sentai Jetman, Mitsume ga Tooru, Shatterhand, Shadow of the Ninja, Scat, be careful when looking for that one, Wild Guns, Pocky and Rocky, Mobile Suit Gundam, Endless Duo. Thanks to Natsume, we ate good in the 1990s. The Ninja Warriors again was no different. Natsume took everything that worked in the arcade, basically the idea of robot ninjas fighting an evil regime, threw away everything else and remade the game anew. While in the arcade we had a boy ninja and a girl ninja whose only difference was that the boy wore blue and the girl wore red, because apparently the only way to distinguish a male from a female is through the color of their clothing, here we have 3 completely unique mechanical warriors to choose from. Ninja is no longer just dude dressed in blue. He's a hulking beast, the strongest of the trio, so heavy he can't jump, but he more than compensates for that with sheer brute force. Kunoichi, which literally means female ninja, redundant but to the point, is the balanced member of the trio, attacking with kunai and sporting more curves, making her the most human-looking of the 3. Finally, we have the newcomer Kamaitachi, a skeletal robot with sights for arms who is extremely agile. He can't grab enemies like his colleagues, but his combo potential is insane. Probably the easiest character for a rookie to get acclimated to the game. By the way, Kamaitachi are yokai from Japanese folklore. Weasels with scythes for hand that fly with the wind, slicing people for no reason, because apparently regular weasels were not scary enough for Japanese folk of yore. Back to the Ninja Warriors again on the Super NES. The graphics are lit, the soundtrack cooks, and the gameplay is tighter than Jen Ortega's Truly, the Ninja Warriors again is one of the greatest beat-em-ups of the 16-bit era, and it doesn't get nearly as much recognition as it deserves. Just like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super NES, a game that was also developed by Natsume. I am sensing a pattern here. But what I'm here to talk about is storytelling. More precisely, storytelling through gameplay. First, however, I need to talk about the game's plot in more detail. Here, a fictional country is taken over by Banglar, who is like Maduro but with less moustache and more goblinoid features. Brawler has absolute power and rules with an iron fist, crushing any rebellions and attempts to reestablish order and democracy in the land. The people, tired of being forced to eat dog poop at the best of times and Arby's at the worst, decide that enough is enough and build 3 assassin robots, setting them loose on Brawler's army in one last desperate attempt to regain their freedom. So my question here is, why a hot blonde robot girl? I can understand an enormous ninja whose footsteps cause earthquakes and a skeleton with scythe arms, but why the blonde? All I can think of is that the rebels were lacking the materials to build the last robot and, under a lot of protest, took the sex doll that was the wife of one of their scientists to complete the project. Sacrifices need to be made for freedom, I guess? It's a conventional plot. Rebels using whatever they have to crush a tyrannical regime, but the most memorable thing about the Ninja Warriors is its ending. Spoilers for a more than 20-year-old SNES beat 'em up. In the final cutscene, it's revealed that the robots were sent on a self-game overing mission. They detonate themselves inside Brawler's complex, decimating everything in a display of monstrosity that would make Michael Bay blush. Then, the rebels take over the government and install a new dictatorship. Now with them at the top.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Now that I explained the plot, it's time to talk about the storytelling. More specifically, the differences between the SNES version and the remake. Yep, the Ninja Warriors, again, got a remake. In fact, many of Natsume's games received remakes for modern platforms, with improved graphics and soundtracks, new playable characters, while retaining the gameplay that made them so fun back in the day. If you want to enjoy these games now, this is definitely the way to go. The Ninja Saviours Return of the Warriors, that's the US name that completely rolls off the tongue, adds 2 new robots, Yaksha and Raiden. Raiden is what happens when you take an old truck chassis, add some legs and arms, put the skull of Andre the Giant wearing a samurai helmet on top of it, and call it a day. Yaksha is ninja robot Uzaki Hana. Look, she has hydraulic arms. She needs somewhere to store the hydraulic fluid required to make them work. Look at that! Every time she extends her arms, she becomes flatter than a Nagatoro being crushed by a steamroller. See? It was not gooning, it was engineering! Kunoichi's boobs also got bigger in the remake. Because of reasons.
Raisin is my intel guy.
So, what am I here to talk about besides the giant boobs of mechanical vixens? Well, about the organic way beat-em-ups tell their stories and how the Ninja Saviours pretty much ruins that. So hear me out. Beat-em-ups present their plots organically through gameplay. Sure, we usually have a cutscene at the start of the game that explains our motivation to move from point A to point B while causing concussions to a legion of miscreants. They kidnap the mayor's daughter, or crime has taken over the city, or Shredder is back, or evil must be punched in the dick. That is our point of ignition, the event that sets our heroes on their face-smashing journey. From then on, most of the storytelling is conveyed through how difficult the adventure becomes as it progresses and the type of stage bosses we face. Let's use Final Fight as an example. The game starts with a bunch of malcontents kidnapping the mayor's hot daughter to blackmail him, and instead of becoming a slave to the forces of evil, the pro wrestling public servant decides to piledriver his way back into familial togetherness. He recruits his daughter's main squeeze, Cody, and some other dude who has no business being there, Guy, to help him, and off they go on their merry way. So the first stage is the slums, just some run-down part of town inhabited by criminals, crooks, and Boku no Pico fans. At the end of the stage there is Damned, or Thrasher Damned, or whatever. The dude shows up young and full of cum, sure that he will be more than enough to put an end to your shenanigans, and he's promptly pulverized by the mayor's powerful ass. Words get to Belger, the main boss of the Metal Gear gang. What? What is? Oh, Mad Gear. Sorry. Word gets to Belger. Oh, the so-called heroes bit damned? Thrasher damned? Ah, no matter. He was a small fry. Where are they going now? The subway. Ha! That's Sodom's domain. He will make short work of David Sodom. Really? Already? Where are they going now? Oh, the place with the bars right after the bonus stage with the cars. Okay, send Eddie there. Yes, he's big, he's tough, he's got a gun. There is no way he will lose. Oh dear Lord! Him too? And they ate his chewed bubble gum as an act of defiance? Ew, these people are mad! Okay, look, Rolento, call him. Pay him whatever he wants. Just tell him to stop them at the industrial area. Oh God, they smashed Rolento too? Who else is left? Abigail? Fucking Abigail? That roided up King Diamond obsessed is all that we have left? Fine, send him. Oh God, they beat him too. Fine, bring everyone still alive here, to my house. Yes, everyone alive. The ones who didn't fall into the ground and blinked into oblivion. Bring them and all their doppelgangers. I will not be intimidated in my own home. I will not. Oh shit. So yeah, this happens in every beat 'em up. Heroes start their journey and initially meet very little opposition. The villains don't expect them to be much of a problem after all. Then they beat the first boss, normally a tougher opponent but still manageable. The second stage introduces stronger enemies and a tougher boss, almost as if word has spread about how powerful the heroes are and the villains have to up their ante. Every stage gradually becomes more difficult until the end, when the villain seems desperate and throws everything he has at you in a futile attempt to stop your progress. Organic storytelling, like the Souls games, but on a much smaller scale. The Ninja Warriors, again, on the SNES, followed the same principle. Bosses became stronger as you climbed the ladder, but I think the game executed this storytelling better than most. The first boss of the game is Giant. Wow, how creative. He's an enormous robot soldier with legs the size of your player character. The thing is, he's scary looking, but he's a total pushover. He's meant to be an easy challenge this early in the game, but from a storytelling perspective, the hulking beast of a robot serves to show how dangerous the Ninja Warriors truly are, that they can easily thwart a humongous humanoid machine such as him. This was changed in the remake, The Ninja Saviours: Return of the Warriors. The first time I played the remake, I got really confused. Did I just forget how to play the Ninja Warriors? Did I get bad at video gaming after all these years? Was Alzheimer's destroying my hand-eye coordination? Is 3 inches enough to pleasure a woman? All these questions flooded my mind. So yeah, I kept trying and getting my ass whooped by Giant until I finally beat him. It wasn't even a sweet victory. I felt bitter. I felt like I defeated the boss by sheer luck, not skill. I felt like I accomplished nothing. Souls players know this feeling all too well. So the time came to move on, and so I did. I played through the rest of the game, ready to be completely graped by the following bosses. If the first one was this bad, how bad could the others be? Yeah, they're pretty easy actually. The other bosses remained at roughly the same level of difficulty as in the SNES game, which ranges from easier than wanting to on Sydney Sweeney's to harder than having a shot at Emma Myers. But Giant? My god, man, what the hell? I fought him many more times after that, and the fact is, he is the hardest boss in this new version of the game. So, where do I start? Well, he now has super armor, something he didn't have in the older version. He can grab you and throw you for a lot of damage. He's even bigger than before, so his attacks have a longer reach, and pretty much every one of his attacks knocks you flat on your ass. It's insane! So yeah, just mashing buttons is no longer a sure path to victory here. You have to, as the kids say these days, get good! The thing is, Giant now serves as a crash course in the new mechanics of the game. Defense and cartwheeling. You could use defense in the old version too, but it was more of an optional feature. You could play the game defensively, but it was possible to finish the game even if you didn't. Now, you have to play defensively. A lot. Block enemy attacks and wait for the best moment to strike back. Cartwheeling is also essential. When you block, you can cartwheel by pressing the jump button in a direction. It's like rolling in a Souls game. It gives you invincibility frames that can be the key to victory, especially with Kunoichi, Yaksha, and Kamaitachi, the smaller characters. Ninja and Raiden force you to master other techniques, such as Raiden's ability to transform into a chicken-shaped cannon, and Ninja's use of his nunchucks with— son of a bitch! He's still broken in the remake. Giant no longer serves a storytelling purpose, to show how powerful our heroes are even when faced with seemingly unsurmountable odds. He now functions more like the gargoyles at the top of the church in Dark Souls, the enemy meant to test whether you are one of those who will finish the adventure or if you are gonna quit. Like a pussy! This is the last Dark Souls analogy I'm gonna make on this video, I promise. So, the fact that they changed Giant, is this bad? Is this good? Well, I think it depends. Beat-em-ups are a genre not defined by their plotlines but by their mechanics. You want a game that feels good to play, responsive and fast, where mowing down legions of enemies feels satisfying. The plot is nice because it gives you motivation to move forward, but it's really not that important. Streets of Rage is a universally beloved series in the genre, and the plot of all its games can be summarized as: bad man tries to take over the city, unemployed ex-cops stop him. The organic storytelling of a beat-em-up is like chocolate syrup over a nice strawberry ice cream. It's pleasant, but not as important as the ice cream itself. In this analogy, the gameplay is the ice cream, and if you never learn to properly play the Ninja Saviours, you will never be able to fully enjoy the game. Plot be damned. Just the chocolate syrup by itself is no dessert. So, this is it for today. Now I want to hear from you guys. Do you enjoy beat-em-ups? What are some of your favorites? Let me know in the comments. And if you watched this video to completion, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means the world to me. I'll see you again in the not so distant future. If the astronauts who went to the dark side of the moon don't return bringing some ancient evil that will wipe its ass with humanity, that is. Until then, take care of yourselves and everyone you love. Cheers!